Hey y'all, Billy. And I'm not at Perma Pastures farm, but you know, what makes the farm is the farmer, and this farmer just happens to be out in the desert on his day off. So yeah, every Sunday, Saturday's like a optional day, and then Sunday is a day off. That's how they do it. So I came out here in the desert with my friends. They're over there in the hot springs. They got like these communal tubs out there where you know, every and anybody just kind of hangs out there, and the natural mineral water is supposed to be very, very good for you. I won't be participating. It's not my cup of tea. I'm going to go for a hike instead out here in the desert. Well, it's a pretty incredible sight out here. You know, as I'm up here, I'm trying to find as high a spot, a place out here as I can, so I can get a better lay of the land. I mean, I just find so much joy in that, and it's so quiet out here. Just me and the drifting chemtrails out here. Expecting rain tomorrow too, but that's another thing altogether. So here I am. What am I surrounded by? Some would say dirt. People like Dr. Elaine Ingham have basically proven that whether it's sand, clay, silt, it doesn't matter. It has everything it needs in there. The only thing it's missing, what makes it dirt, is that it has no life. This soil, by and large, is lifeless. I mean, yes, things survive out here, but generally, it's lifeless. What's sad is that when I look over there in the distance, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it, there's an oasis right over there. Hopefully you can see it. And as I've been trekking through this desert, I realized that oasis, and I'm like, well, why there? And I know the reasons why. I just wanted to examine it. Well, that's the lowest point where these hot springs basically overflow. They come out of the ground. They capture that water in these tubs that people share. It leaves, hits that low point down there, and it is absolutely lush. It's a downright oasis over there, okay? So if it's going down there anyway, why not capture it? Remember what we talked about? You get energy into your property. You can hang on to it for a little while, capture it, at least for a little while, of course, deflect it, or even amplify it, and in some cases do all three. Why couldn't there have been a series of swales all the way down before it hits there? That means everything on the way there would be equally as green. See, the solutions are really, really simple. I mean, they truly are. This whole desert, with the proper machinery and everything, you could absolutely green everything, and it wouldn't take that long to do. So it's really mind-boggling how nothing ever seems to get done. Do you find it a little bit curious? Because I do. When I'm out here in solitude and when I got my own thoughts about me in nature, I seem to always come up with my best ideas, or what I think are good ideas. You ever notice that the government had no problem whatsoever telling you what you should put in your body? But there's not been a single public service announcement on how to green this desert, or how to procure water, and how every house in America probably ought to be doing it. I mean, thinking of houses in America, I mean, let's just put this down to real numbers. The average household, as I recall, uses somewhere around 300 gallons a day, and depending on the person, somewhere between 70 to 80 gallons per person, roughly. Okay, 300 gallons a day. So what is that? In the course of a year, about 109,000 gallons per household. That's a lot. That is a whole lot. Now, think of the Earthship that we're working on right now. We got average rainfall per year about 9.7 inches. I went and looked it up. That's not a lot, but it could be sufficient. That means in a typical year, you'd get about 7,000 gallons of water right off that roof. That's significant. It's not going to supply all your needs if you have a classic American household, but it would take a dent out of it. How cool is that, especially in a structure like that where that water is used 4 times before it ever hits a septic tank? And we're using our fresh water to flush our excrement. I mean, just on the face of that, it just seems absurd. So the answers are simple. So why don't we have a Manhattan Project on greening places like this so that it could be lush, just like the oasis I'm looking at right now? Why couldn't you do a Manhattan Project on, hey, here's how we ought to make our homes a little more efficient when it comes to water? And the reason I'm thinking so much about it, I'm walking away with so many different ideas and skills after having been out here. But I got to say, one of the biggest is a newfound respect for water, because there's not a single house around here that has gutters or downspouts. There's nothing like that. The only house that's going to have gutters on it is the earthship we're working on. Does that seem a little absurd to anybody else? I mean, these problems are not difficult to solve. Like, I'm pretty close to the highest point out here. You could you could swale this whole entire thing forever in a day, and in no time at all, you'd be recharging your aquifers, because frankly, the people in the rural spots around here, every single one of them have wells, and not one group of people is putting anything back. Prime example, yesterday was a little bit weird. I got done working, and then I went over to a monastery. Now, they did ask, because I did take some videos over there. It was really extraordinary that they had all of these plants out there at this monastery. And I'd taken a bunch of videos, and then I asked, hey, could I, is it okay? They're like, yeah, for your personal use, but don't put it on the internet. I'm like, well, okay, so much for that. In fact, they asked that I don't even mention the name of the place specifically. And they have security concerns for a whole variety of reasons. But the point I'm getting at, this place was absolutely lush. It was green, and it was everything you would imagine an oasis would be. Structures everywhere out there, giant churches, building quarters, all the way around. And not one drop of water was captured. Not one. When I did ask, they were talking about how they had wells all over the place. Look, this to me, and I'm not coming down on these folks, this to me just doesn't make any sense. We have everything we need to make this thing work. It doesn't have to look like this. Not anywhere, for the most part. It really doesn't have to. But like I said, where's the Manhattan Project? Where's the Manhattan Project to make this thing something? Don't care about that. But yeah, they sure care an awful lot about telling me what I need to do with me. It just seems like a nasty proposition to keep on this way. And so the only solution as I see it is exactly, and I didn't wear this shirt, this wasn't calculated, this is just like impromptu. Yeah, that shirt says it all. That's where our priorities ought to be: water, access, and structures. But you know what? In the United States of amnesia, I think everybody would agree we got that backwards. In fact, every house I've seen, for the most part, it's structures or access, structures, comfort, and then maybe water. Because everything comes too easily, even in a place like this. And I think fundamentally it makes us lazy. But folks, there are so many solutions out there. And water is on my mind right now because it's a constant, everything's so dry. The air's dry, everything's dry. Except for, the springs and these little things that pop up from time to time. I don't know, at this rate, these springs will be a watering hole instead of a soaking hole here before long. Well, as always, y'all, I'm going to tell you, we better wake up and smell the corruption, or we're going to fall asleep drinking the hemlock. Because you're going to tell me we can put together a Manhattan Project to come up with bombs to murder a bunch of people, but we can't come up with a Manhattan Project to green the desert, or to encourage people, hey, here are sensible things we can do to capture our water, to lessen the amount that we use, or, just be more responsible with it. We can't have that. But you're going to tell me what I need to put in my body? Anyway, I better get off this soapbox, and they're probably done. They're probably all shriveled up like a bunch of prunes over there. So, anyway, y'all, it is a day the Lord hath made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. I better pack it up anyway, because I'm going to try to get over to Mount Graham. On another note, some weird stuff happened yesterday, and I'm still trying to figure out how to unpack it all. I'm going to cover, I think, with an expert, probably Joel Thomas from Kill the Mockingbirds podcast, here before long, because there was a series of weird events that happened near Mount Graham, and I don't really know how to make a whole lot of sense of it. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be an extra episode, and it's going to probably be a little esoteric. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day. Until next time, this is Billy out in the middle of the Sonoran Desert, where permaculture It is my passion. We'll see y'all next time.